All right, so tonight we're going to talk about avoiding the management trap from your first year network marketing. So I loved this chapter. How about you guys? You have to unmute because you have to talk. I can't tell you how many team members over 16 years I have lost because of this, or people that have been completely stuck because of this. So what were your aha moments out of this chapter?
I wanted to share that Callie, my dog, is trying to demand my attention right now. Stop. She's such a baby. I just was really, I've read it now 3 times, and every time I get all tearied up again. In the beginning when it talked about, the story, okay, maybe it's not in the beginning. Page 32, and at the end, he's kind of describing how everybody went to sleep, and he kind of stayed up, and he was just like really thinking about this. Came from a poverty background, and I come from a pretty poor background family, and they're all hard workers, but he talked about, unlike my ancestors, I was now privileged to be in a great company where people were actually earning unlimited income. And then he goes on to say, how he broke the cycle. And it just makes me emotional every time, because it's like, gosh, we have this amazing opportunity that, I guess the company's been around 50 years, but no one in my mom's generation or my grandparents' generation have had an opportunity like this. And I just think it's really cool to be able to break some of those generational things that just take place. So anyhow, I thought that was really cool.
That's really awesome, Erica. And I, like you, also grew up in a home that was paycheck to paycheck, and hard place to grow up. And it's kind of nice to be able to have the avenue to be able to accomplish that. So that's awesome that you saw that. I love that. Who else?
Hey, Reagan.
Yeah.
This was really interesting reading this chapter coming off of the weekend that we had in Steamboat, which just I have to be transparent in saying it was one of the more interesting, curious Juice Plus events I've ever been to. There's so many great things about it, but this is such a strange way of saying it, but this is also such an empowering thing for all of us. I walked away from listening to a lot of 7-figure earners, meaning these people earn 7 figures a year in Juice Plus, thinking, I think if they could do it, I could probably do it. Because at the end of the day, there's just a lot of opportunity for ordinary people here to do something extraordinary and make an extraordinary impact. Here's the thing that those people did differently. They've never stopped recruiting frontline. And I have to just edify Reagan here for a second, and it's not because she asked me to or anything like that. One of the reasons that I work with Reagan still, and I'm an NMD, I could go rogue or whatever, is because she really sets the pace in terms of bringing people in, and she always has. She's one of the smartest business people I've ever met. She's also got one of the biggest hearts of anybody I've ever known. And I think it just goes to show that when you set an example for your team, you have to just set that example for your team. And I was talking to you about this yesterday, Erica. It's we were talking about this at the Hot Springs. If you pictured I-70 between Denver and Kansas City, and you were going to get to Kansas City as fast as you could, but your job was also to bring as many people with you as you could. And every exit ramp is an opportunity to get people. That's how this business works. But people are going to come on, and they're going to go different paces. You don't get to control how fast they drive. Some people are going to exit, and they're going to disappear for 2 years. Or they're going to exit and because life is happening. But they know where the interstate is. They can always get back on. So our job is to just keep going and bringing people in, because we have too big of an opportunity with this not to. And yeah, that's all.
Wow, Ellen, well, thank you. That was so sweet. And ditto right back at you. And another pace setter on our team. And, you know, what this chapter is really talking about, you guys, is the importance of continually inviting and adding people into your team. And, you know, a lot of people struggle with this because for some people, they go, oh, we're just going to try to go out and get a whole bunch of people. Well, you have to remember why we do that, right? It's our mission. Our mission is to inspire healthy living around the world. And I don't know if you guys, you know, if you really read it towards the back of the chapter when he starts talking about, you know, our business is a business of leaders building their front lines and getting a small customer base and helping those people do the same thing. And so what's beautiful about what we do is that really it shouldn't be such crazy hard work, right? We can all inspire 24 people to be healthier, right? I mean, that's our customer base being built. And some of those people are going to want their mom and their cousin and their friend and all of that. So the problem is when we get into this thing where all of a sudden we feel like we're responsible for other people's success. How many of you guys have felt like that? Like, oh, I put somebody on and now I'm worried about whether I'm a good leader, and you stop recruiting because you're, yeah. So Sue, you're raising your hand. Tell us more about what you're thinking.
I just wanted to say that I've been with the company, 10 years now, and that's happened to me a lot. I got into the management mode so many times where I would bring people on and it was get them started and then help them and then continue to just help them and not let them ever go off on their own, because when they did, nothing was happening. So I would come back around and go, well, let's make some calls together, or let's do this, let's do that. But I found out that I was just managing people all the time instead of just saying, if something comes up, you call me. Remember the line right in there where he says right in here, which I loved, he says, how do you support a large group, you may ask? By teaching them 3 words, you call me. And when those calls come, be there for them, which Reagan has always done for me, everybody. So whenever I needed help and I reached out, she would be back in touch with me, usually within the same day. I would say, Reagan, 99% of the time you were back in touch, and say, let's have a call. And we would schedule a time to talk, and that always really helped me. And so I got caught in the management a lot because I'm used to teaching fitness, which is managing people and having them be in a group and, excuse me, and having them be in a group and having to always tell them what to do and lead them and show them. And I got caught up in that over and over. And this book was a real big aha in my head. It's like, okay, you don't have to do that. Recruit the people, get them on the calls, have them speak to Reagan, get them going, and then you call me when you need help. So that's been big positive aha for me. Excuse me again. Okay, Rocco, go and get it. So only when I'm talking, he has to.
You know, he's like a child. Wants all your attention.
So
yeah, well, there's a difference between doing it for people and supporting them. And it's a fine line, don't you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody has to do their own work, right? I mean, that's kind of what I got out of the whole chapter is, I mean, what I love, page 48, which is what we have taught forever, is look for close friends who are entrepreneurial types, ready for change, fed up with stress, and then show them by example the wonderful simplicity of in-home recruiting meetings, okay? Second, do the first couple of meetings for each new distributor and then cut the cord, thus enabling their distributors to become leaders themselves. And that's where I think a lot of us don't cut that cord, right? And we start to enable people, and I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I'm so guilty of doing this, especially my first 10 years, Sue, you probably did that because I did that, right? I mean, it duplicates. And eventually you get tired and it doesn't feel very good to the person to think that they can't do it themselves, right? I mean, you don't want your mommy to do stuff for you, right? So eventually people have to do it themselves. So there's a difference between that's why I stopped also calling the calls that we do like I'll do some calls with some of our team members who want them, or people that I kind of feel like I might want to just pay a little extra attention to. Sometimes I stopped calling them coaching calls and started calling them touch base calls, because I want to assist them. I don't necessarily want to be their coach. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because we're all doing it together. So like with Jenna, I mean, I do a touch base call with Jenna all the time, and Ellen and Rachel, you know, whoever wants one. Victoria, she's new, so of course I do. But for me to come down and say, hey, give me your list, Victoria, and I'll call these people for you. No, I'm not going to do that. But I might do a three-way call with her after she sets it up and has already given them some information and we have some interest, right? So it's true. It's kind of a fine line. So who else? Who else had some ahas here?
Well, I think it's also nice when I was reading this to realize that I'm not the only one that gets stuck in that circle of, you know, trying to manage or, you know, just getting people started in the correct way.
Yeah.
You think that you're the only one that's going through this, but you're not. You know, we have this tried and proven system that we know we need to follow, but then just reading it in the book makes it, you know, yes, everyone's doing this. He's teaching us how to get past it. And it was kind of like a nice realization that you're not out there.
Yeah. Who else?
So, you know, I learned this lesson in academia, mentoring trainees. I had lots of postdoctoral fellows, you know, PhDs and MDs, and teaching them research. And there's only so much hand holding you can do. And so you learn pretty quickly to be hands off. But I think if anything, I go the other way, and I get almost to the extreme of I'm going to wait for them to ask for help, but then you're working with people who are very independent and don't ask for help. And so it can go two ways. And I know I don't have enough distributors. You know, the few people that I have, like, they have a hard time even just freaking logging onto the website and getting set up.
Right.
And so I think that I if anything, maybe I give up on people too quick, because I'm like, if you can't even, like, it seems like a red flag to me. If you can't even do the most basic thing, like get on the website and set up, you know, a few things, then I'm not gonna, but I want to paint a picture for people too. You know, you say that all the time, paint a picture, you know, teach them sort of the simplicity of it, but then I don't know. So I guess that's where I get stuck, is on that end of the spectrum.
Well, I do think, so I always send people a little note, and you guys have all seen it, that, you know, welcomes them to the team and gives them kind of directions on how to get online. And then I say in there, and I joke that this is the hardest thing we do, which is true, because it is a little bit clunky. So I always do set up that getting started call just to go through and make sure they were able to do it. And if they can't, I walk them through. Now, if they don't even attempt, I reschedule. And to me, it is a red flag. And I'll reschedule 3 times. And after that, I'm kind of like, well, let me know when you're ready to get set up, because I'm going to go talk to somebody else now, right? And they can be a wholesale buyer as far as I'm concerned, but if they want a paycheck, they're going to have to figure out how to sign in. But I've got a couple of people that joined my team in the last couple of months that, you know, unfortunately the birds got them. I don't know why. You know, as Jim Rohn said, I didn't sign up for that class, right? And I did my best. I mean, I reached out to them 3 different times trying to get them going, and they're not even putting 1 ounce of effort into it. So it's not my job to convince them, right? So,
Reagan,
yeah.
What you just said is very helpful for me, because I don't have that many distributors that are active and really work. I do have distributors that have taken it for their own benefit. And like you said, most people do become lifetimers, and I find that. But I find with myself that I want to invest in them and help them. And I'm not real good at finding that point where you just have to step away and wait for them to come and ask you for help. I don't call them and try and I'm not a pep rally type person,
Right.
but I do feel a responsibility to try and connect with them and encourage them and help them along in those beginning months, especially if you didn't know anything about the product, because quite honestly, that's what you've done with all of us. But I do know that I try and hang in there with people far too long, and it's exhausting.
It's exhausting. And you have to remember that we want to lean into gratitude, right?
Right.
Like, we're grateful for them having their own order. We're grateful that they might share with their mom or that they did. But if they're not willing to move past that, and you've done a good job of saying, look, thank you. I'm so happy you want to join my team. And this is what I say, just so you know, and Victoria, she's recent, she can attest to this. Just so you know, I have one requirement. Same, Rachel will remember this as well. One requirement, and that's that we do a getting started call within the next 2 days so that we can get everything kind of set up. You'll get paid and all of that. And I put that on the calendar before I even took their distributor application.
Yeah.
Okay. So they know. And then if they happen to, then if they're not there or whatever, then we go into, like Rachel said, red flags. And I know I could probably do 8 red flags. I do 3 red flags and I'm kind of moving on because, the other thing is what, if you look on page 47, he says these 3 magic words are synonymous with building your front line, not your depth as quickly as you can. You go wide fast. Right? Yeah. And not everybody's going to be go-getters. Some people are going to be wholesale buyers, and we want to be grateful for every single person because 1 is they're having a great experience with the product. 2 is they might share with somebody because we gave them a license to share. And 3 is the timing might be better for them later. Right? So, but we don't want to be waiting for them. Like we're talking to enough people. You're not going to be feeling terrible about it, Vicki, because you're now talking to 10 new people and you don't even remember those people, quite honestly, unless they pop back up, or Teamsy I love Teamsy for that because it'll bring them back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I feel like actually Vicki touched on something really important. And I kind of think of it as, you get to maybe you get to VF or sales coordinator and you've got a handful of team members and you go to conference and you catch a vision, right? And you're excited and you look at those people and you want to pour into them. But again, you're on I-70 going 75 miles an hour. You're still at the gas station off the exit, right? And I think that people get a little bit stuck with that feeling of like, well, I have 5 team members and she would be great if, and he would be great if, and rather than just keeping going and bringing new people on, those people can always catch up wherever you are. We sort of have this tendency to fixate on the people that are there that maybe aren't moving and why they should move, and it puts this undue pressure on them. Like, I am so guilty of this 1,000 times. So it's best to just redirect that energy, catch yourself doing it and be like, okay, clearly I need to get out the door and talk to 2 new people, right?
Yeah, well, I don't feel that it's an inadequacy anymore of my not wanting to help them if they really want to embrace the journey. So I've just kind of taken the attitude mentally that when I share, if they want to come on, I'm happy for them because I know the benefits they're going to get, but I'm not going to let that color how I feel about my productivity or about where I'm going. It's either gonna, and let's face it, I have never come on to Juice Plus with this great vision of being a national marketing director. I'm not a big picture person. Yeah. I'm a small, take the steps one at a time. So each one of those, I really want to be a senior sales coordinator. Okay. And that's where my focus is. And when I get there, I'll make a new plan. But I think I've finally reached a comfort level that I can do what I can do, and I'm not going to worry and put unrealistic expectations on myself, because that's when I feel bad.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that I accomplish things. And yet I know that I am making a difference. So
Yeah.
That's all I can do.
This conversation with Dr. Mitra Ray at lunch, and there was a new gal there from Carbondale, Mary. She's so sweet. And she was kind of going through some of the same thing. And I said to her, you know, the cool thing is people can get on or off the train anytime they want to. And it's a magic train. It'll come back and get you. And Mitra said, well, actually, it's always there. It's always moving. You just catch a car, you know, and it's true. So, you know, the opportunity is always there, but how you manage here is what's most important, right?
Oh,
And
yeah,
so don't wait for people. Keep inviting people, putting people in on your front line. And then the other part was keep things super simple, right? Go back to basics. You don't need to wait till the next Prevention Plus hotel meeting. Almost all of you, I mean, every single one of you have built to where you are because you had some in-home meetings, right? Yeah, you had a little get together, had some people over, and then they can see that they can do that. And so it goes, right? I mean, that's supposed to be that simple.
Yeah.
All the little bits add up big time. Who else? Yeah, Patty.
Reagan, I think on the same kind of vein about managing, you'll remember that I was so petrified because I wasn't sure how to be a leader.
Yes.
And I did that for many years, especially when we did have a big boom of frontline people. And I was so panicked, I almost froze myself out of confidence on how to do that. And I think the other thing too is if you're not recruiting a lot of people, like he says, I think on page 40, one of those pages, I can't hardly read it because it's dark in here. I mean, it's dim in here. But he basically says that when you are if you're part-time and you're only doing like recruiting one person like every month and a half or every couple of months, you know, then you start wanting to work with that person only, right? And then you do get into that management mode. And I found that's kind of how that happened with me a couple of different times, even more recently. And the person was calling and things like that, and all of a sudden the call stopped and I panicked instead of thinking, well, if they need me, they'll call me, right? I mean, that's what Bobby and I do with you. If we need you, we call you for advice or whatever it is. And it's hard, it's just kind of a mindset, I guess it is. And that's why this book is so wonderful, because it does teach you that, number one, you don't need to babysit people. It says it in there, the babysitting trap, right? You don't need to babysit people. And you don't, and let them be who they are, because they all have ability. And if you're recruiting properly, like you have always told us, kind of almost interview them darn near. And if you find someone who's got great leadership ability, why steal that from them? Why take that away from them? Because that's kind of what we do if we're trying to fix it all for them and make it all happen for them. So it was, that chapter was a lot of ahas again for me as well.
Yeah, and imagine how they feel, because do you not think that they know that you're worried about them because they're your only person on your team? What kind of pressure are we putting on people when we do that, right? And they might quit because of it, because I don't need this, right? Don't tell me what to do. That's me. That's every one of you too. But so the most important thing is that we control kind of how we're thinking about it. And I think if we're focused on, again, being really grateful they're there, but always continually adding new people. If you don't continue to add new people, you will have attrition in your business. And the other thing is, I had somebody this weekend who said to me, I couldn't get my team to do anything. That's why I got frustrated and didn't do anything. And I thought, well, we don't really get our team to do anything, right? They get to decide if they're wanting to do anything, right? But we get to give love and support. So it goes back into giving versus getting. We're not trying to get people. We're trying to gift them with an opportunity. It's a present. They get to choose whether they're going to accept it or not. They get to choose whatever level they are, and they get to choose to, have our assistance or not. I mean, it's kind of all a gift. So when you kind of frame it that way, it makes it not quite so scary too, right? And we're all going to have people that don't get it. I know Victoria, we had a couple conversations with some of her people. She knows that they are amazing. And we both went, oh, they've got the whole world of potential in their little finger, but they don't see it yet. So we planted a seed, and we'll just love them where they are. We're going to find some new people. You can meet somebody, when you go out to eat, like I did with Victoria, or at a networking event like I did with Rachel, right? Or Bobby and Patty and Sue. They came on because somebody quit above them. They were underneath somebody, one of my friends who didn't do anything. She got frustrated. So stay in line, right? What else? Where else you guys need some adjustment in what you're doing, or a reframe?
I'd just like to tell a little story if I could.
Yes.
So Sue has always been so supportive of me, but when I first started, she was so supportive of me. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I really don't know what I'm doing or what I even want to do with this. And so one day I just told her, I said, you're wasting your time with me because I don't know what I want to do with this. And bless her heart, yeah, she never ever gave up on me. She would call me like every once a month, or she kind of backed off. She backed off. And then I came to my senses. I was like, what am I doing? So I always loved Juice Plus. I was always on the product, but it really is when you really get to where you're overwhelming maybe people.
Yeah. Well, I did that
so
too.
I was on the other end of that. So yeah. And bless her heart, I love Sue to pieces. She's always been there to support me with whatever. Hello, Sue. So that's just my story, because being on the other end of that, it's really been a light bulb for me. Like, whoa, that was me. I was on the other end of that. So I get that. Mm-hmm. And that's all I have to say. Yeah.
Good.
So how many people have had folks that were, I don't know, just the consumer for a long time, and then decided to, jump in and actually start doing something with the business? I mean, when do you, is once for example, I've got somebody who's been in for a year, she's coming up, she's due to renew, and I have to have that conversation with her, if she'll even return my calls, because she hasn't been good about that. But, in terms of painting the picture of just, continuing on as a customer versus, as a rep versus just converting back to just being a customer, because clearly they like the product enough to keep buying the product. But so how do you deal with those kind of people that are kind of AWOL? They're continuing to be a good customer, but
They don't. It's a no-brainer for them to stay. Are they taking care of themselves? Are they taking care of their own order needs right now?
Right. They're doing that.
So hopefully you're not doing it.
No, yeah. So then the question is, when you just keep, obviously you can just keep trying to support those people and asking them, every so often, can I help? Can I support you in any other way? Do you have any interest in doing anything with the business? But you don't want to.
I would invite them to at your events at your home, continue to invite them so they start to see. So right now they're really a wholesale customer. So you want to treat them like they're a customer. So continue to invite them to the Prevention Plus and the events and things like that. But as far as them renewing, I'd say don't forget to renew so you can continue to get Juice Plus at the best price that you've been, and you're getting a check back, and just leave it at that. If they don't renew, they're going to roll up to you as a customer. And I always call those people and say, hey, we need to put you back in, because you were getting a great price, you had your mom, whatever, right? It gives you an opportunity to kind of have that conversation with them again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that might be somebody too that, you know, every once in a while you invite them for lunch or something just to see how they are and have a relationship with them. And then, hey, you might as well, I'm having this event at my house, you might as well come on over, you know? So they might have got scared in the beginning. Who knows? Life. I don't know. Okay, well, you guys, next week, I hope you guys are really reading. I hope this is helping. Is it helping? Okay. Next week is Dodging the Depression Torpedo. We all have had that, right? So I'll look forward to that. And I'd love to hear if you come up with anything before then. Okay.
I think it's kind of nice. Am I muted? Wait a minute.
No, you're not.
I think it's kind of nice. It's great for people that are just starting out because they can avoid some pitfalls. But I think it's really great for those of us that have been doing this a little longer because we can see ourselves in all the traps that we're supposed to be trying to avoid. And I find it helpful. I find it really helpful.
That's good. Yeah, I read this book all the time. I probably need to get a new copy. It's getting worn because it is a good reminder because we always tend to go back to that, right?
Yeah.
Our old habits die hard. So, okay, well, you guys have a beautiful week and go invite some new people to join your team.
All right. Awesome call, everybody. I really appreciated everyone's input. Thank you.
Yeah, it was great.
See you next week.
Bye, all.
Bye.